Hello everyone. Welcome to Japan Pavilion. I'm Kazumasa Nagamori from Ministry of Environment, Japan. I'm honored to have moderated today's session. So we will begin with opening remarks from distinguished representatives. First, I'd like to introduce Ms. Nameki Miki, Director of International Cooperation for Transition to Decarbonization and Sustainable Infrastructure, Ministry of Environment, Japan. Please share your opening remarks.
Good morning. Welcome to Japan Pavilion. I'm Mimi Nameki, Director in charge of the International Cooperation. On behalf of Minister of the Environment, I like to express my heartfelt gratitude, all of you, to joining us. And especially, I'd like to welcome His Excellency, Mr. Mansur Oshirubayev, Deputy Minister of the Ecology and Natural Resource of the Republic of Kazakhstan. My special thanks to Mongolia for co-organizing this very important session. Before we move into the high-level session, I'd like to briefly introduce the background and objectives of this seminar. Global Observing Satellite for Greenhouse Gases and Water Cycle, or GOSAT-GW, was launched on June 28 this year, as the successor to GOSAT-1 and GOSAT-2. GOSAT-GW will continue to observe greenhouse gases, and the key features of GOSAT-GW are observing the whole globe and the detailed observation of specific locations. The Paris Agreement requires each country to submit their first biennial transparency reports, or BTRs, which Japan submitted in February this year. However, accuracy of emission estimation is a common challenge. Japan has developed an emission estimation model using the GOSAT satellite and is currently operating with Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan to improve the transparency of their BTRs. Japan plans to expand such cooperation to other countries. Also, we initiated the project to make the GOSAT estimation method an international standard in collaboration with Chuo University. As GOSAT data is open and free, establishment of standard estimation method contributes more to the world transparency. Now, let me give a brief overview of this seminar. The first half will be a session on challenging mitigation projects utilizing GOSAT satellites, where speakers will present on initiatives using GOSAT satellites, mitigation projects focusing on transparency, and the expectations for emission estimation using the GOSAT series. The second half will focus on financing and scaling up green acceleration in Central Asia, featuring a panel discussion with experts, practitioners, and international organizations to discuss how to promote the synergistic effects of transparency and innovation through specific case studies in Central Asia countries. We would like to discuss concrete measures for supporting the development of BTRs through the international standardization in accordance with IPCC guidelines and the future deployment strategies in the Asian countries. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nameki. Next, Mr. Mansur Oshirubayev, Vice Minister of Ecological Natural Resources of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Please welcome for opening remarks.
Уважаемые дамы и господа, дорогие коллеги и партнеры.
Esteemed ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and partners.
От имени Министерства экологии и природных ресурсов Республики Казахстан я приветствую вас на этом важном мероприятии.
On behalf of the Ministry of Ecology and Natural Resources of the Republic of Kazakhstan, I am pleased to welcome you to this important event.
Хотел бы выразить признательность нашим соорганизаторам Министерству охраны окружающей среды Японии за представленную площадку в японском павильоне, а также нашим коллегам из Министерства окружающей среды и изменения климата Монголии за партнерство.
I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our co-organizers, the Ministry of the Environment of Japan, for providing this platform at the Japan Pavilion, and our colleagues from the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change of Mongolia for their partnership.
Тема нашей сессии «Инновации для смягчения последствий изменения климата» сегодня стоит в центре глобальной повестки.
The theme of our session, Innovation for Climate Mitigation, stands at the center of the global agenda today.
Мы все понимаем, что глобальный климатический вызов требует не просто декларации, а реальных, измеримых и эффективных действий.
We all understand that the global climate challenge demands not just declarations, but real, measurable, and effective actions.
В последние годы мы все чаще говорим о климатическом финансировании, о зеленых инвестициях и о рыночных механизмах.
In recent years, we have increasingly spoken about climate finance, green investments, and market mechanisms.
Но чтобы эти инструменты заработали в полную силу, им необходимы фундаментальные условия. Это доверие.
But for these instruments to function at all capacity, they require a fundamental condition, trust.
Инвесторы, международные партнеры и наше собственное общество должно быть уверено, что выделяемые ресурсы ведут к реальному, а не бумажному снижению выбросов.
Investors and international partners and our own society might be confident that the resources allocated are leading to real, not just on paper emissions reductions.
Нам нужен прозрачный и объективный механизм, который покажет, что инвестиции действительно работают на улучшение экологии.
We need a transparent and objective mechanism that demonstrates that these investments are truly working to improve the environment.
И это мероприятие, ответ, который мы обсуждаем сегодня, и он лежит в области высоких технологий.
And this event offers an answer that we're discussing today, one that lies in the field of high technology.
Использование спутниковых наблюдений, в частности спутника GOSAT, это не просто инновация, это качественный переход к объективному мониторингу, основанному на неопровержимых научных данных, о чем я говорил в прошлом году.
The use satellite observations, particularly the GOSAT satellite, is not just an innovation. It's a qualitative shift towards objective monitoring based on irrefutable scientific data, which I said last year.
Технология GOSAT позволяет нам в режиме реального времени получать точную оценку эффективности проекта и всестороннее отслеживание состояния экосистем.
GOSAT technology allows us to obtain a precise assessment of projected effectiveness in real time and comprehensively track the state of ecosystems.
Более того, мы видим, что эффективность технологий с использованием GOSAT получает признание на глобальном уровне.
This is a very independent verification mechanism that the modern climate agenda so urgently needs.
Это превратит их в международный стандарт и откроет дорогу их массовому применению в проектах по всему миру.
Furthermore, we're seeing that the effectiveness of technologies using GOSAT is gaining recognition at the global level.
В Казахстане создан Международный центр зеленых технологий, инновационных проектов, который является соорганизатором этой встречи. Его ключевая задача – как содействовать приложению чистых технологий и привлекать инвестиции в зеленые проекты в нашем регионе.
The International Green Technologies and Investment Project Center (IGTIC) was established in Kazakhstan, and it serves as a co-organizer of this very meeting. Its key task is precisely to promote clean technologies and attract investments to green projects in our region.
Мы уверены, что добавление компонента прозрачность, которая обеспечит GOSAT, способна значительно ускорить озеленение всего региона. Для инвесторов это четкий сигнал. Наши зеленые проекты, наши акселераторы, наши стартапы не только инновационные, но и абсолютно прозрачные.
We're absolutely convinced that adding this component of transparency, which GOSAT provides, can significantly accelerate the greening of the entire region. For investors, this sends a clear signal. Our green projects, our accelerators, and our startups are not only innovative, but also completely transparent.
Уверен, что сегодняшняя встреча пройдет плодотворно. Я желаю всем участникам хороших переговоров и проведения мощного мероприятия.
I'm confident that today's discussion will be productive and will help us strengthen trust in our common climate action. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Minister. Thank you for your great message. Now, let me introduce Mr. Rodolphe Dulze, advisor on climate change to Minister of Environment and Climate Change of Mongolia, and the natural focal point of Mongolia for the Green Climate Fund. Mr. Rodolphe, could you please deliver your opening remarks?
Dear colleagues, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, as a co-organizer of this very important seminar, first of all, I would like to express my appreciation to everyone who attending this event in person and online. As we know, almost every country, regardless of the economic power, is experiencing the impact of climate change, particularly those like Mongolia, which is vulnerable to global warming due to its geographic location and then way of the life of local communities. Because of that complexity of the issue, it is becoming more challenging to address it, particularly in respect of mitigation measures without involving modern advanced methods and technologies like remote sensing and artificial intelligence. Therefore, government of Mongolia, the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change is fully supporting the initiative and fruitful cooperation of the research institutions of Mongolia and Japan, as well as countries of Central Asia, aim to develop needed adequate methodologies and then new approaches. Mongolia is going to host next year UNCCD COP17 and is paying an added attention on climate and desertification mitigation issues. I wish great success to events and tangible outcome from the cooperation of partner countries and their relevant institutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for a valuable perspective. So now we will now move on to the keynote speech. It's my great pleasure to introduce Professor Watanabe Masataka from Chuo University. Professor Watanabe will present on innovative GHG estimation technology with GOSAT satellite for transparent evaluation of climate mitigation. Professor Watanabe, please welcome.
At COP29, held in Azerbaijan in November 2024, ministers and deputy ministers from ministries responsible for climate change measures in the Caucasus, Central Asia, and Mongolia, along with IPCC and UNFCCC focal points, attended. They discussed the role that greenhouse gas absorption and emission estimates derived from Japan's GOSAT satellite technology play in meeting the transparency requirements of the Paris Agreement. Furthermore, ensuring transparency in GHG absorption and emission estimation is a common challenge for all nations. Discussions centered on the importance of satellite technology enabling emissions estimation through a standard methodology. Chuo University is advancing the development of GHG emission estimation technology in collaboration with Central Asian and Mongolian nations, making full use of Japan's GOSAT-1, GOSAT-2, and GOSAT-GW, which were successfully launched in June 2025. To enhance the transparency of BTRs, it is essential to compare and verify national inventory data using methods beyond the bottom-up approach. We will address the potential for the GOSAT satellite-based emissions estimation method to emerge as a globally accepted standard for inventory verification in the IPCC guidelines. Most countries in Central Asia and Mongolia are situated in arid or subarctic zones, which are coherent in terms of their climatic characteristics and are geographically proximate to one another. The GOSAT satellite-based GHG emissions estimation for Mongolia is a technique that can be applied in these countries as a standard method to verify estimates based on conventional inventories, thereby improving BTR transparency. Bottom-up and top-down methodologies each possesses their own strengths and weaknesses, and it has not been possible to treat them uniformly. Current IPCC guidelines require assessments to be conducted using bottom-up methodologies and a clear direction on how to incorporate the top-down approach, which operates on a different conceptual basis, has yet to be established. Nevertheless, efforts to reduce uncertainty in national inventories are of paramount importance for mitigation actions at national and regional levels. There is a strong demand for the development and validation of a hybrid method that integrates the subsequent top-down approach into the IPCC guidelines without contradiction. Session Challenging Mitigation Project using GOSAT satellite will feature presentations from the Government of Mongolia, the Asian Development Bank, ADB, and implementing research institutions. These will cover mitigation measures implemented under the Green Climate Fund, GCF project, the application of national level GHG estimation technology using the GOSAT series, and the potential utilization of this technology for the BTR. Soil organic carbon constitutes a component that can be accounted for as CO2 absorption in the Mongolian steppe using the bottom-up approach. The Mongolia GCF FP154 project aims to increase soil organic carbon accumulation through sustainable grassland management, such as grassland conservation and livestock population management, as a mitigation project. The project evaluates CO2 sequestration using the century soil carbon model, which accounts for soil organic carbon, drawing on extensive research experience and accumulated verification results from field observations. Furthermore, Chuo University is developing a top-down approach using the WRF-Chem plus century model and GOSAT satellite data for inverse analysis to ensure verification and transparency across the vast Mongolian steppe. This methodology is a hybrid method that can be incorporated without contradiction into the IPCC guidelines and is scheduled to be included in the BTR submitted by the Mongolian government. In the session, Financing and Scaling Green Acceleration in Central Asia, presentations will be made on initiatives exploring the potential for new projects aimed at GHG reduction, with the objectives of promoting the transition to a low-carbon sustainable economy in Central Asian countries, facilitating international cooperation and establishing conditions for the introduction of innovative solutions in the environmental protection and climate change. Amid the formulation of ambitious mitigation measures, we expect that, as with the Mongolian GCF project, the provision of accurate emissions estimates and long-term monitoring using GOSAT technology will become essential for MRV in green projects, such as the GCIP program. Therefore, promoting international standardization of satellite observation technology through IPCC guidelines is crucial for facilitating clean technology investment with public funds and to realizing new projects to support BTR creation. This seminar with the experts from Japan, Mongolia, Kazakhstan, ADB and Univ is expected to identify actions for a green initiative utilizing satellite technology and clarify the role that the GOSAT satellite series should play in promoting practical international cooperation on climate change. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Professor Watanabe, for providing us a clear concept of today's seminar. Now we will move on to the first session, focusing on challenging a mitigation project using GOSAT satellite data. In this session, we will hear from the expert working on practical application of satellite-based greenhouse gas monitoring in Mongolia and other regions. The first presenter is Dr. Badojargar Zamba, focal point of IPCC in Mongolia and special advisor to the island. Dr. Badojargar will speak on the expected contribution of the GCF project to the GHG reduction. Please welcome Dr. Badojargar.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. The title of my presentation is GCEP support projects in Mongolia as an example of GOSAT data used for verification, whatever mentioned the Professor Watanabe in his statement. Next slide, please. And first slide is demonstrating the trend of GHG emission in Mongolia. As you can see, since 1990, and we had a slight increase of emission since 2010 and 11, and the emission is prevailing the sequestration. And next one, please. And recently, government of Mongolia they finished development of the very important document for Paris Agreement, and we established new target. For example, GHG emission reduction target for 2030 and 2035, and the last one is exceeding 30%. And then in comparison with business as usual scenario. Next one, please. And when we are talking about GHG sequestration, we need to talk about grassland in Mongolia, because the grassland in Mongolia is covering around 90% of the Mongolian territory, which is almost 2.6% of world grassland area. But we have also a small portion of peatland, which is part of grassland. Next one, please. And but because of methane issue, peatland is very important source of GHG emission nowadays in Mongolia. Next one, please. And Professor Watanabe mentioned about projects supported by the GCEP. I just brought as example two projects developed by the government of Mongolia jointly with AGD, supported by GCEP. First project is followed the affordable housing and renewable energy and so on. And total target of emission reduction is around 8 million ton CO2 equivalent. The second project is related to the regional development issue, and this one is much bigger project, and the emission reduction target is already exceeding 112 million ton CO2 equivalent. And from this reduction, we expecting to have some sort of sequestration around 94 million ton CO2 equivalent, and also around 70 million ton CO2 related to avoiding methane emission. Next one, please. And why the GOSAT project is very important for Mongolia, and what kind of contribution can make GOSAT satellite, especially for MRI system. And first, of course, based in establishment, also ongoing improvement of ongoing project monitoring system, and verification and reporting. Also, very important one is some sort of complementing ground-based data sources. Thank you. Next one, please. What kind of benefit we will have from use of GOSAT data? Of course, comprehensive coverage. Second, with cost-effective verification, and transparency and objectivity. And last but not least is independent verification. It is very important, especially for global stock exercise. Next one, please. And we need to have some sort of accuracy of ground measurement, because the value of GOSAT data will depend on the quality of ground data which were used for calibration. And what I especially brought one slide, how different methods of the sample collection and data analysis exercise can be different depending on the methods used for that. What you can see, two different methods, colorimeter and LOI. Even LOI, one single method, but result could be different depending on temperature level used for analysis exercise. Next one, please. And therefore need to involve more sophisticated approach, like, for example, machine learning from artificial intelligence. And even we use three different model, PLS, RF, and XGB machine learning algorithms. And even those algorithms can give different results, but and generally, such kind of approach could be very important and useful for more accurate results. Next one, please. And just in order to use new methodology, we need to have different kind of independent variables or predictors. And just we brought around 23 different kind of predictors we use for analysis. Next one, please. And there is small area where we use the machine learning approach, and this approach also demonstrating different kind of results depending on area and time, and also methods used for that. Next one, please. And those small areas were just especially not big amount of sampling, around 50 sampling points, but this one is a little big area. We use around 18 predictors and the ground measurement point exceeding 1,500, and therefore we could produce a map for whole territory of Mongolia. Next one, please. And in conclusion, I would like to say that, of course, we need to have a robust MRO system. And for that, it's very important to involve more sophisticated methods like remote sensing or satellite like GOSAT-based measurements. And also ground measurement very important one, as I already said, for calibration of satellite data. And therefore, Mongolia decided to organize special station as a reference site for satellite monitoring, including GOSAT. And next airport presentation will cover this issue. And last one, of course, I already mentioned about machine learning. And if we can use more sophisticated methods, including machine learning algorithms, we can much more improve the result in our the GHG monitoring exercise. Next one, please. What just members of team which contributed to this presentation from different agencies, like from National Agency for Meteorology, the University of Life Sciences, academic institutions like Institute of Biology, Geography, and so on. Okay, next one. Thank you. That's all from my side.
Thank you very much for your informative presentation. Next, we have two speakers from Asian development who will present on activities in field of GHG emission estimation and monitoring in Mongolia. Please welcome Dr. Enham Garantsere and Dr. Gerelma Sharibu, Senior Climate Change Officer, Climate Change of Sustainable Development Department, ADB.
I'm Hamkla, Senior Climate Change Officer in ADB Mongolia. I'm also a technical co-lead for IMEXM Green Regional Investment Program, implemented by the Ministry of Economic Development and Ministry of Environment and Climate Change in ADB Mongolia. I have prepared this presentation together with Dr. Gerelma, greenhouse gas inventory expert. So there have been many different research projects being carried out by the national and international experts, and according to the research findings that Mongolian grassland has a quite potential to sequester carbon, and annually it can sequester 37.5 to 125 million tons of CO2 annually, and Mongolian grassland soil currently store an estimated 1.5 to 2.5 billion tons of organic carbon. But the degradation of Mongolian rangelands is concerning, and degraded rangelands lose 0.5 to 1.5 tons of carbon per hectare annually. With improved grazing management, it can sequester additionally 0.3 to 1.2 tons of carbon per hectare annually. So the approach as the project is promoting is to preserve the recovery capacity of Mongolian rangelands for greenhouse gas mitigation and sequestration. So there are two systems work in Mongolia in terms of rangeland health monitoring. One is operated by the National Agency of Meteorology and Environmental Monitoring. Another one is operated by the State Land Management Agency of Geodesy and Cartography. Altogether, there are about 7,000 monitoring spots that the rangeland health is monitored. The Mongolian rangeland are divided into 5 recovery classes. Class 1 is healthy, Class 2 is slightly degraded, and Class 3 is moderately, and Class 4 is heavily, Class 5 is fully desertified. So we have made the research just to identify where the rangeland health is moving. So according to the database that are available at the Land Agency and Agency of Environmental Monitoring, there is a quite significant shift in terms of the rangeland health. So Mongolian rangelands are shifting from healthy to the amount of rangelands that are making shift towards moderately degraded, from moderately degraded to average, from average to heavily degraded is quite a concern. So we can see that across all regions, there is a quite significant shift in terms of the rangeland health, which is overall the rangeland health is declining. And we tried to, we also made research to see the link of rangeland health and carbon soil stock. So with improved rangeland degradation, that soil carbon is also declining. And there is at the Agency of Meteorology and Environmental Monitoring, there is a 10-year soil quality analysis. And when we have made the when we carried out assessment that with the rangeland degradation, the soil carbon is also declining across all the regions. So, and there is also correlation between the rangeland carbon stock with overgrazing. In those years that the overgrazing was the heaviest, like with the number of livestock increasing, the soil carbon has a declining trend. And EDB has provided technical assistance to develop the grassland carbon mitigation target into the NDC3. So in cooperation with national agencies and experts, we have identified that 10% of heavily degraded rangelands within forest steppe and steppe ecological zones would be moved to the recovery class 3, which is average degraded, and through better grazing management and improved stocking management. And there's the project Tranche 1 is will be implemented in 3 Western AMACs by Ulgi, Oos, and Hout. So we have also created baseline in terms of the rangeland soil carbon in all 72 zones. So there is also a trend that with the rangeland degradation, carbon stock is declining. In the scope of the as the project, we are planning to support the government and national stakeholders in following action lines. First is defining the baseline of rangeland carbon sequestration and carbon soil stock and institutional capacity development, and also to create financial mechanism for herders and land managers to improve the grazing management, and also establish benefit share mechanism if Mongolia can access to the carbon market in term for soil carbon. And Mongolia has a vast territory, and so to set up very efficient, effective, cost-effective soil carbon monitoring, reporting, verification system is the key. So as the project is planning to use the satellite remote sensing and AI technology, and that will be data of which will be verified with ground data. And we're also looking at the potential to develop biogeochemical modeling to incorporate climate, soil, and management data into the soil carbon mitigation and sequestration potential. And altogether, the idea of approach of the project will be using the satellite data combined with ground truth calibration, and also to use AI technology in data processing, reporting, and also to look at the potential of remote measurement of soil organic carbon. The outcome we envisioned in the scope of the project is first to develop site selection criteria for the pilot projects that will be carried out within the project, and the most important is to establish the agreement with herder community who share common rangelands, and establish baseline, and then based on that to provide recommendation to the community how to improve grazing and stocking management, and they also to facilitate cooperation with carbon credit developers to access to the carbon credit market with soil carbon. And potentially, if we can access to those markets, we would be able to provide herders with an opportunity for alternative income so that they can invest in improved rangeland management. So thank you very much. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Our next speaker is Ms. Nandin Tsetsegu Nyam, also from Wildlife Science and Conservation Center. She will present on proof long-term ecological monitoring station in the eastern grassland area of Mongolia as a reference site for calibration of GOSAT and other satellite data. Please welcome Ms. Nandin Tsetsegu.
Good afternoon, distinguished delegates and colleagues. My name is Nandin Tsetsegu and I'm a climate and carbon specialist at the Wildlife Science and Conservation Center of Mongolia. It's a great honor to present our work here at the COP30 Jaffa and Pavilion. Today I would like to introduce the long-term ecological research station located in the eastern grasslands of Mongolia. This station serves as a national reference site for calibrating GOSAT and other satellite-based ground observations. Our main goal is to understand how peatlands act as climate regulators in Mongolia's permafrost and grassland regions. We are establishing an integrated monitoring system to quantify CO2 and CH4 fluxes, combining field and drone data and linking ground results with satellite validation such as Sentinel and GOSAT to support national climate reporting under the Paris Agreement. Our study site is located in the Horkhuyden Nature Reserve, a Ramsar-listed wetland area rich biodiversity. Since 2014, the Horkh LTR, established by the Wildlife Science and Conservation Center of Mongolia, has carried out continuous environmental monitoring. The site also conducted experimental studies on the impact of climate change and used drone-based remote sensing for vegetation and land cover mapping. Today, Horkh is one of the most representative long-term observation sites in the eastern Mongolia. Now, I would like to briefly present some of our recent research results. At the country level, peatlands were first mapped under the ADB project, identifying about 2,700 square kilometers of potential peatland area across Mongolia. At the regional level, we refined the mapping accuracy using digital illusion model, Sentinel, and drone imagery combined with the field surveys. The ongoing work is refining land cover classification and clearly defining peatland boundaries using these integrated datasets. So we combined soil texture, vegetation cover, geophysical profile, and drone orthophotos to better understand the structure and dynamic of the peatland area. This integrated transect analysis clearly shows how peat thickness and vegetation type are closely linked to the permafrost presence and thaw patterns. In area where the peat layer is thicker and dominated by sage vegetation, permafrost remains stable beneath the surface, but where the peat is thin or dry, permafrost has already begun to thaw rapidly, indicating zone of degradation and a higher potential for greenhouse gas emissions. Slide on the left, we applied three complementary methods to identify subsurface layering and the thickness of peat and permafrost. On the right, the borehole temperature profiled from 2018 to 2023 show a clear trend of progressive permafrost warming. Permafrost remain only beneath thicker or wet peat layer, such as a borehole 4. In contrast, in thin or dry area, like a borehole 1 and borehole 5, permafrost has already thawed and disappeared. This figure shows our eddy covering station installed at the Horkh site last winter. This system continuously measuring CO2 and H2O fluxes together with radiation and soil temperature at different depths. During the monitoring period, the total precipitation was about 289 millimeters and daily air temperature ranged from -30 to +22 degrees. The data collection is ongoing, and we will soon begin fully processed and flux analyzed to estimated carbon exchange over the peat area. This slide shows our closed chamber setup and the first result from August 5th, 2025. We used for a statistic chamber with portable liquid gas analyzer to measure both CO2 and CH4 fluxes from 15 different microforms operating continuously from 24 hours to capture daily variability. Preliminary results from the 10 plots show that CO2 fluxes are higher in the wet areas, while dried surface products much lower value. We plan to continue this chamber measurement monthly during growing season over the next 3 years to capture the full seasonal dynamic of greenhouse gas exchange. These maps show that monthly NDVI indicates vegetation productivity and NDMI reflected surface moisture conditions from our drone survey at 5 cm resolution. During the summer, both indicates reaches their high value, indicating healthy and wet peatland condition. NDMI is particularly sensitive to surface moisturing, making it a strong indicator of peatland drying or degradation. It's our initial result show GOSAT satellite data on atmosphere CO2 concentration over the Mongolia May to August 2022, it decreased from 424 ppm in May to 398 ppm in August. In the next phase, we plan to extend the analysis to CH4 concentration and compare satellite data with our ground-based measurement from the Horch site. In conclusion, our work at the Horch LTR provides a new insights into how peatlands, permafrost, and greenhouse gas exchange are interconnected in Mongolia's grassland ecosystem. First, continuous and integrated monitoring at the Horch LTR enhances the accuracy and transparency of Mongolian greenhouse gas inventories under the Paris Agreement. Second, our findings directly support the implementation of NDC and foster collaborating, linking local field science with the global satellite observations. Finally, expanding similar long-term networks across the wetland, gobi, and grassland ecosystem will strengthen regional capacity for climate mitigation and adaptation. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all our partners, donors, and research collaborators who make this work possible. We are committed to improve and expanding this research further, and we warmly welcome future collaboration with international partners. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your presentation. Now we move on to the second session, focusing on financial and scaling green acceleration in Central Asia. This session will explore international cooperation mechanisms and investment approach for green technology deployment in the region. The first presenter in this session, Mr. Aydar Yesenbayev, Head of Technology Commercialization Competence Office, International Green Technologies and Investment Project Center. He will speak on Green Accelerate in Central Asia, proposal based on the experience of Kazakhstan. Please welcome the Aydar Yesenbayev.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nagamori. Will the presentation be opened? Yeah. Okay. Good morning, distinguished colleagues, partners, and guests. First of all, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to the Ministry of Environment of Japan and the Chuo University. Doumo arigatou gozaimasu. And also to the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change of Mongolia for organizing this crucial event. And it is an honor for me to be here at COP30 and to speak in front of you. In Kazakhstan, we are moving from ambition to action. And I want to share practical tools that we have built in Kazakhstan for making decarbonization practical and, most importantly, bankable. But for a project to be truly bankable in today's world, it must be credible. It must be built on a foundation of trust. That is why the theme of this event, enhancing transparency and reliability through objective mechanisms like GOSAT satellite technology, it is not just relevant, it is a fundamental challenge we must solve. Next slide, please. And as we move to the next slide, we see a problem that everyone in this room understands. Globally, we face a critical gap between ambitious goals and a shortage of bankable investment-ready projects. For investors and financial institutions, this means pipeline scarcity, high risk, and high transaction risk costs. For projects and industry, the challenge is just as big. They face the financing valley of death, where great ideas fail because they can't find seed funding or grants. And they often lack the business and commercialization and technological business incubation support to become investment ready. We are missing the bridge. Next slide, please. So in Kazakhstan, we decided to build that bridge. Our solution is a national green technology service operator, which has been established at ICSIC, our organization. This is not just an idea. It is an official mandated institution. Its authority comes through directly from our National Environmental Code, Article 130, and it acts as a single window, providing comprehensive services for all stakeholders, projects, investors, and the state. And it serves as a vital national bridge, connecting financing institutions with a pipeline of projects that have been rigorously vetted. But what does rigorously vetted mean in the context of this event? It means enhancing the transparency, reliability, and effectiveness of mitigation efforts. It means integrating the objective monitoring and verification that technologies like GOSAT provide to ensure that invested funds are effectively contributing to environmental improvement. This is how we move from promises to proof, the risk investment, and build that bankable pipeline. Next slide, please. So how do we build this pipeline? In Kazakhstan, we use a two-sided approach. We build the supply of new technologies, and also we build the demand for them at the same time. On the supply side, we have our initiative that comes from GCIP, Global Clean Tech Innovation Program, or acceleration program. It is role to be our innovation funnel, cultivating and accelerating clean tech innovations and entrepreneurship. Our mechanism is a full accelerator program providing mentorship, training, project support, and carbon footprint calculation. This calculation is precisely the kind of verification that benefits from scientific evidence from satellite observations to gain international credibility. And our vision is to grow this into an establishment of the Regional Green Acceleration Center, supporting innovators across Central Asia. And on the demand side, we have initiatives related to BAT, or Best Available Techniques, or BREFs. Its role to be the industry driver, pushing our industry to modernize. The mechanism is powerful. We work with the government to set new, modern environmental standards. We are developing BAT reference books, BREFs, and complex technological audits. This creates a clear, predictable, and mandatory demand for green technologies. Our industries must modernize, and they need the solutions that our GC program is creating. This audits also serve as a crucial MOEJ point, establishing a baseline against which we can accurately assess project effectiveness. Our vision here is also regional, the establishment of the Central Asian BAT Bureau to align standards and create a larger market. This two-sided system is our engine. It creates vets and prepares a pipeline of bankable projects, and our goal is to ensure this pipeline is fortified by the highest standards of transparency. Next slide, please. And from this slide, you can see the data that makes the foundation of our proposal in the field of best available techniques and also acceleration program. Next slide, please. Yes, and now that we have this mechanism, we need a marketplace. We need a platform to bring this pipeline, our regional partners, and you, the international investment community, together. And this platform is a regional ecological summit. This is a major national and regional initiative. It was announced by our president, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, at the 78th UN General Assembly. It also was supported by UN General Assembly resolution and has received support from all Central Asian states and key partners like UN, OECD, and Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research. The goals of the summit are clear and action-oriented: to develop workable regional solutions and mechanisms to overcome our shared climate and environmental challenges, and critically, to present Central Asia's real needs for climate finance and to showcase a portfolio of regional environmental projects that are ready for green investment, projects whose effectiveness and transparency we are working to guarantee. This is our invitation to you. Next slide, please. The summit will be more than just high-level panels. It will be a dynamic marketplace. And the centerpiece of this summit will be a large-scale international exhibition aimed at fostering dialogue and innovation. This is where you will see the pipeline in action. You will find pavilions and projects dedicated to green energy, including renewables and hydrogen, the circular economy through waste recycling to waste to energy, water resources management and sustainable agri-technologies, climate technologies for adaptation and mitigation, and ESG and green finance, showcasing the tools to make these investments happen. The exhibition is where the service operators pipeline will meet global finance, offering a portfolio of projects vetted for both financial viability and environmental integrity. Next slide, please. And so to conclude, Kazakhstan is moving beyond climate ambition. We have built a practical mechanism to create a bankable project pipeline. We are building the supply of innovation through GSIP and the demand for it through BAT. And at the Regional Ecological Summit, we are opening this pipeline to the world. Our work is to build the engine for green growth. The technologies and methodologies discussed today, like GOSAT, will provide the fuel, the trust, the transparency, and scientific verification needed to accelerate our collective journey. We invite you to collaborate with us for the joint implementation of green projects in Kazakhstan and Central Asia. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing variable Kazakhstan scheme. Next, we have the presentation from Ms. Noel O'Brien, Director of Climate Change Resilience and Environment Cluster within the Climate Change and Sustainable Development Department at ADB. She will speak on financing green growth, the importance of MRV, and innovation for investment. Please welcome Ms. Noel O'Brien.
Thank you. So good afternoon, and thank you very much, everyone. I think time is running short. There's multiple events and behind schedule, so I'm going to deliver quite a quick version of the presentation. Is that something I did? No, it wasn't me. Okay. Oh, that's the main thing. So it's a pleasure to be here today to speak on behalf of ADB. And thank you very much to both Japan and Mongolia for involving us. We very much appreciate the partnerships that we have with both countries. And really, this work on financing green growth and strengthening MRV systems and embracing innovation is very much central to the work we do. Okay, no challenges. So second slide, monitoring, reporting, and verification is the backbone of credible climate action. It enables countries to track and assess progress and impact of climate action. It ensures that transparency, accountability, and it also builds investor confidence. The Paris Agreement has elevated MRV through its enhanced transparency framework, the ETF, to emphasize the role of transparency as the cornerstone of our collective accountability and a key instrument through which we can successfully address climate change. But beyond compliance, MRV helps governments and financiers understand what's working, where gaps exist, and how exactly resources are being used. And when we can demonstrate real results, we can build that trust. And so innovation makes MRV smarter, faster, and more inclusive. Enhancement in digital tools, artificial intelligence, and blockchain can transform how we collect and verify and share data. So just let me move on to the next slide then. Just in terms of ADB, we have made a very strong commitment on climate change. In 2022, we announced our target of 100 billion on climate finance between 2019 and 2030. And then during our midterm review of Strategy 2030, we retained climate action as a top priority alongside digital transformation, private sector development, gender and social inclusion, together with regional cooperation and integration. So let's move on to the next slide. We have been doing a lot of support work for NDCs, working with multiple countries from Central and West Asia right through to the Pacific. We established a platform which is known as the NDC Advance, and this includes developing digital MRV platforms and aligning MRV systems with international frameworks such as the International Sustainability Standards Board. And we're doing this through technical assistance. Our support on transparency covers a wide range of activities tailored to meet the needs of DMCs. And these include developing robust climate data systems, improving governance structures, improving the quality of national climate reports under the ETF, and facilitating stakeholder engagement. We have had 4 strategically linked streams which have been translating NDCs into climate investment plans and projects, improving access to finance, developing MRV tools, and identifying adaptation priorities. And this is essential for the countries, but it's also an extremely important part of building ADB's pipeline and ensuring that our investments deliver on climate outcomes. Let me move to the next slide, number 5. With the focus on MRV related component, we've been delivering capacity building activities to impart awareness, knowledge, and skills of national stakeholders about the fundamentals of climate monitoring and evaluation, and key concepts, including practices on MRV to track climate indicators and progress associated with their respective NDCs. For the ETF, these activities help DMCs on requirements of the national communications and the biennial transparency reports. In organizing the MRV systems to report transparently on progress in climate change, mitigation, adaptation, and finance. So specifically in Mongolia, we supported the development of a guidance note on tracking, on reporting, monitoring of climate finance, including climate impact assessment templates and climate finance databases. And also we've been working with a number of countries throughout Central and West Asia. This included, supporting Armenia with the MRV system for transport and waste. We've been working with Tajikistan, Pakistan, Kazakhstan, and Uzbekistan with built institutional technical capacity on MRV systems. And maybe just a little bit on the next slide, it's just really to note that innovation in financial tools is also a key part of the work that we do. One, obviously, we have ADB's grant and lending instruments, but we also have the technical assistance instruments and then a whole range of private sector investments. And one of the initiatives that we've launched in the last couple of years has been an innovative guarantee facility which is innovative finance facility for climate in Asia and the Pacific. And this is a guarantee mechanism which enhances our ability with our lending headroom for increased climate investments. And so we are grateful for Japan's contribution as one of our supporters on that process. So I can see that there's time limitation and I have another event. So I will say thank you very much for including us in today's event and look forward very much to continuing the collaboration with Mongolia and with Japan. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for highlighting the importance of MRV in financing. Our final presenter is Ms. Karyani Inamupudi, International ESG and Carbon Consultant. She will present on scaling up green technology innovation, the role of international cooperation and the GCIP model. Please welcome Ms. Karyana Inamupudi.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and it's great to be here. Thanks to Aider for his kind invitation, and it was an amazing discussions about various topics. So, how is the format? Am I making a presentation, or we have a questions? Okay, you want to ask me questions? Okay, fine. So one of the points I would like to bring to the table is, given my experience with the venture capital, private equity, and asset managers, I would like to know what I would like to tell you what are the primary barriers you see in the scaling clean tech in emerging markets, and practical models can the Green Acceleration Center in Kazakhstan use to attract that international capital. So basically, from the perspective of global investors, I think some of the 4 recurring barriers for me that could be adapted to the Kazakhstan is policy and regulatory volatility, lack of bankable early stage pipelines, currency and country risk premiums, fragmented ecosystems. For example, I think the policy and regulatory volatility, investors' price in uncertainty, unpredictable incentives, lack of bankable pilot projects could be like most clean tech concepts are promising but not investor ready. Currency plus country risk premiums, even high quality projects struggle when local currency depreciation risks are unhedged. Then fragmented ecosystems, which means developers, financiers, and regulators are working and operating in silos. So how the Green Acceleration Center can unlock international capital? So establishing a Kazakhstan clean tech deal room, for example, a curated pipeline that presents 10 to 15 investor-ready proposals every quarter with the standardized templates, IRR ranges, MRV plans, Article 6 eligibility, and due diligence packs. Creating a blend. I think Green Accelerator can partner with MDBs, like we just had a presentation from ADB, EBRD, Green Climate Fund, to offer first loss guarantees, concessional debt, FX risk sharing mechanisms, and the de-risks early investments and signals government supports. Also adopting a sandbox model, for example, allowing pilots in biochar, hydrogen, renewable, microgrids, carbon farming, and digital MRV with a simplified regulatory pathways. Investors favor countries that allow quick pilots. Then anchor corporate buyers in the ecosystem, for example, securing forward offtake agreements, commitments. These offtakes can be carbon removal credits, green hydrogen, or green ammonia. That's my perspective. So positioning GAC as a Central Asian gateway. So Kazakhstan is uniquely placed to lead the region, positioning GAC as a regional center for technology validation, Article 6 transactions, MRV infrastructure, and certifications that withdraw both in capital and multinationals. Nextly, how do we see Article 6 or border adjustments like CBAM acting as catalyst to fund and transfer the very technologies we are discussing today in the Central Asian region? So particularly for me, Article 6 is a direct financing mechanism. Under Article 6.2, countries can generate ITMOs and sell them through bilateral partnerships. Then we also have a guaranteed demand from buyers like Switzerland, Singapore, Japan, South Korea, and then, of course, EU markets, lowering the cost of capital, then technology transfer. If structured very well, Article 6 can become Kazakhstan's first real climate finance. CBAM forces exporters to decarbonize or face border tariffs that creates immediate incentives to adopt clean tech solutions and build domestic carbon pricing frameworks and form industrial clusters that reduce the carbon intensity of exports. That national organizations in Kazakhstan and Mongolia should adopt to ensure their mitigation projects are investment ready from the day one. So finally, I've got like 3 points to mention. One is to build Article 6 eligibility from the day one. Projects must align with national carbon strategies, host country approval processes, and corresponding adjustment protocols. Investors walk away quickly if this clarity is missing. So standardize your project documentation. Every project should have pre-feasibility, feasibility studies, baseline and assessments, and environmental and social screening, ESG safeguards, MRE methodology selection, carbon revenue assumptions, and permitting schedules. Finally, I think, this reduces the to 70%. Then developing the robust MRV systems. Digital MRVs never differentiate a country's need. Satellite-based monitoring, IoT or sensor-based measurement, and verifiable data trials. How do you build a strong local developer capacity? That's one thing to be taken consideration. Most projects fail because the local terms lack early technical, legal, or carbon market support. Kazakhstan and Mongolia should invest in training local developers, partnering with accredited VVBs, early-stage technical assistance, standardized templates and tools. And government clarity accelerates investment. So investors prioritize countries with a single national Article 6 authority, clear approval timelines, sectoral baselines, transparent registry processes, predictable carbon policy pathways. So this is exactly where Kazakhstan can lead Central Asia by establishing a predictable investment-grade climate policy environment. Thank you so much once again for giving me this opportunity. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for your great presentation. Well, we have now reached the end of our presentation. For wrap-up and closing remarks, I would like to invite Professor Watanabe Masataka. Professor Watanabe, please share your concluding the thought as a closing remarks.
Okay. I should be very quick. Okay. Maybe time is limited, and so I should be very short and very quick. To summarize today's side event, the main takeaway from our meeting is, number one, the importance of MRV for mitigation project emphasized from some speakers, and the need to introduce a hybrid method that integrates the bottom-up approach and the satellite-based top-down approach into the IPCC guidelines without contradiction are shared. This hybrid method will be applied to the GCF FP154 project in Mongolia, which aims to increase soil organic carbon accumulation through sustainable grassland management and is being implemented by ADB as a mitigation project. And number two, the integration of this hybrid method into the IPCC guidelines is expected to facilitate greater engagement in mitigation projects, such as green acceleration in Central Asia or green technology investment, and new projects to support BTR creation by both the public and private sectors, thereby enhancing the overall effectiveness of investments in climate change mitigation. The next step is to apply this hybrid approach to multiple specific mitigation projects, verify its effectiveness, and disseminate it worldwide. We look forward to working together with all of you. And finally, but not the last but not least, I should, to close this seminar, I want to express my sincere appreciation to all participants and speakers, including the Ministry of the Environment, Japan, the Ministry of Ecology and Natural Resources of the Republic of Kazakhstan, the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change of Mongolia, and various organizations for your invaluable support and cooperation, which enabled us to hold this pioneering side event successfully. Now, thank you very much all for your invaluable contributions today. And I hope we can work together sometime, and I hope to see you again soon. I finish my closing remarks by just the 1:10, and I'm sorry that we could not extend our speech time anymore. So I should close our session now. Thank you very much for your participation. So go back to the Nagamori Sensei. Maybe you will say something at the end.
Yeah. Thank you, Watanabe Sensei. I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to all our distinguished speakers and for their excellent presentation, and to all of you in the audience for your participation. Again, I thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for all your participation. Thank you.